Hi there, this is Tyler, and I'm here playing with some friends of mine from the Gauntlet, which if you watch a bunch of my stuff, I play with the Gauntlet a lot. They're some of the greatest people on earth you will ever get to roleplay with. The community has some outreach, folks. If you like role-playing, you should find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter. You can find us at gauntlet-rpg.com. It is a wonderful, rewarding experience. I've been so happy since I found the Gauntlet. They're wonderful folks, and you get to game the heck out of things. So please take a look at them. We're going to be playing the Chronicles of Darkness, Changeling the Lost, but we're doing a Powered by the Apocalypse hack of it by our fellow Gauntleteer, Lowell Francis. And he is Emmy award-winning Lowell Francis, by the way. But he has put together a hack for Changeling the Lost that is really pretty nifty, and it's still got some rough edges, but it's been eminently playable. There's certainly a lot to it. So this will be the second session of a 4-session run this month, and it's the third month that I've been running this, and the last month that I'll be running it. And first, I'm going to say that we have some safety tools in place. We have the Gauntlet inclusivity policy, which means we're here taking care of each other, supporting each other. We're friendly. We're generous. We're here to make sure it's a comfortable experience for everyone. And also, we have the X card on the table, which the X card, for those who don't know, if something gets problematic, something's just getting, can become too intense, become too personal, something that is bothering you, taking away from your fun. You can do something like this. You can put an X in the chat, though I will say I'm bad about when I'm talking, looking back to chat. So making some little symbol will definitely get me right that moment. Or you can even say, hey, Tyler, I'm going to X that. It is perfectly fine. It's here for all of us and for our safety. I may ask for clarification, but we'll rewind it on back. We'll reframe and go forward. It is here to make sure we're having the best time. Just last week, I actually used the X card. I don't use it a lot, but it is a big comfort that it's there. And so everybody should feel welcome to use it. We had last session some really fairly interesting things occur. First off, we had found that there was a hawker on the Navy Pier who was not supposed to be there. He was a hobgoblin and had somehow made his way into our world and was selling, I believe we found out, goat poo ice cream to the passersby. And two of our motley mates had gone to confront this little hobgoblin and discovered, first off, he talked about that something terrible, the winter, the terribleness that is coming to free Chicago. And they'd also discovered that some of the fruit, a drug which is allowing people to see changelings in their real form and seeing some fey things out there, they found a bunch of vials of the fruit that had been thrown off the edge of Navy Pier, and probably was how he had crawled his way up into the mortal world. With judicious use of threatening glares and large bodies, they convinced this hobgoblin it was time to go. And he had dipped on out with a last warning, but said that a really attractive changeling, rather pretty female changeling, had been dumping most of these over there. And then there'd been like a bunch of different ones who'd thrown some more over there. To kind of clarify, we probably are guessing that Dahlia, who is one of your motley mates and has been out there on a crusade against the drug dealers, has probably been getting it and throwing it into the water here. But who those others are, we might not know. I don't do a whole bunch of like secrets at tables, so maybe someone will mention whether or not, something about who's been using some of this stuff along the way. But the other of our motley mates had gone off and trying to remember, Patrick, will you remind me? I know you ended in the hedge, but you had started out just going out to a club. That's it. You were hassling businessmen to help
Yes.
to help your motley mate Wendy harvest glamour. And one of them had ended up being able to see her in her changeling form and had proceeded to also see your character and had pulled a gun and was really freaking out. And you'd come and rescued Wendy, taking her off to Never Neverland, as it were, into the hedge, where you had seen a horrible snowstorm roiling from the north, and a terrifying face that you can only imagine is this queen of frozen shards, this winter fae. And that's where we'd ended up. But first, let's have an introduction from our characters, and then we'll start playing. Patrick, would you like to introduce your character, please?
So I'm playing Ditto, Darkling Mirror Skin from the Winter Court, the Court of Sorrow. Recently learned that his real name was Bryson, but for most of the time he's just been Ditto. He's a sort of his skin is made out of sort of floating, fractured, mirror reflective bits. He can mimic other people, has a tendency to do that unintentionally when he's startled. There was a complicated durance with a guy who ran a wax museum that was traveling around. Don't go to wax museums. I've had other lessons along the way. Just don't go to wax museums. They're creepy. I mean, you're probably going to get stolen by aliens or eaten by the Fae, or they're going to be demons or some shit. Just don't do it, kids. Stay away. And that's my character, Ditto.
Also, hasn't Ditto been sampling some illicit things?
Oh, right, yes. So we didn't get into it last time, although it may have been in the motivations of why Ditto agreed to go randomly terrorize businessmen at clubs. But to deal with weird emotional stuff with his twin brother and other motley mates, he did end up starting to take the drug fruit, probably a little bit hooked on it. But we haven't done that, so I'm maybe we can do some stuff with that this time.
Excellent, thank you. And that is also a little bit of what I was signaling in with the random different people that show up and throw it over the side, because Ditto can appear to be many, many different people. Next, Jason, why don't you introduce your character?
Surely. I play Cog. Cog is a ogre playbook from the Winter Court, and his kith is Watchman. In his case, he's kind of a large construction of metal and wood that makes this kind of constant arrhythmic ticking. Although if you look at the eyes and the face, they are still startlingly these very sad human eyes. In the mortal world, he actually works as a warden at a let's see, what the heck did I call that place? The Horizon Hospice, which is a source of glamour and respectable place for him to be. And his durance, he was kind of half caretaker, half jailer for the Keykeeper's Stocks, which was kind of a giant clockwork menagerie where different changelings were forced to perform on the whims of the keeper. And yeah, he's big, he's hulking, he's sad.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Chris, would you introduce us to your character?
I'm playing Humorous Pete. He is a rot eater beast. He is a humanoid hyena person. He is a member of the Summer Court. He is the he's both, I think, the sort of functioning portion of the Motley right now, like as far as getting stuff done and getting things moving, as far as things the Motley needs to do. But he also tends to get the Motley assigned duties and stuff because he's a higher muckety muck in the court now. And he is also considers himself the de facto ruler of Navy Pier, which is what set off that little incident with the Hobgoblin last time. And Pete is also the current possessor of the most awesome van in Chicago right now.
It is badass. All the team boys love it. We had ended, like I say, and I think I'm going to pick us right back up with that horrifying face looming across the hedge in the roiling storm, coming at you, Ditto, while a distraught and silent Wendy is is there with you. And by the way, Noella, we miss you.
I would like to be not there. Elsewhere.
All right. So are you grabbing hold of Wendy and trying to run through the hedge, or you know how dangerous it could be to immediately try to open a way back out from where you just came from?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you think this would be an escape or an into the hedge?
I think it's an escape.
Okay. See, I don't have anything marked, so I feel perfectly comfortable going with fear. I feel afraid.
I think that's perfectly logical.
Giant storm lady is screaming at me from the sky. Bum 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 bum. Where's page? Tabs. So many tabs. Oh my god, there's tabs, you guys. Okay. 7, 8.
8.
So on a hit, get away. On a 7 to 9, choose one. Is it inappropriate to say I leave something important behind?
I suppose you could do that. We will be putting our other character to the background regardless.
Do it.
Yeah, sure, why not? It'll give us an interesting motivation for getting back to her, and may give Noella an interesting position to start in.
That's very true. Or a horribly traumatized one. But regardless,
Potato.
You begin running through the hedge, trying to find a space that you know of, a trod that you're used to, that you can turn down and manage to return back to Chicago and get away from this. The wind and storm blowing behind you. And again, that face that was in it was like made up of the storm. It wasn't like a giant. It was more like the storm itself. And so behind you, all of these winds and the snow blowing begins to reach to you. And your companion, Wendy, is getting like further behind you, which makes no sense. She's extremely fast. But it's as though something is calling, and she'd already been traumatized so horribly that as you find the spot in the trod, the door, and you open it, you look back to grab her, bring her through. You can't make her out in the storm. I mean, she is wind. And you call, but no answer. You could see creeping down the hedge as the frost begins to cover, that if you don't jump through soon, the ice will cover your doorway.
I think he sort of stands there, like a shot of him like yelling into the storm. You can't really hear him over the sound of the storm until the ice starts to like creep across the doorway. He'll wait till the last moment and sort of bust through the creeping ice and dive out.
As you bust through, you get the sense of that wind and storm behind you. And at its edge, as you jump through, and as when you jump through the hedge, the door sort of slams shut behind you as you have that moment of the tearing of the thorns to plop out of it, you can sense a windy form jetting away from the storm, as though trying to escape it. But you, popping out, where do you pop out?
I don't know.
Okay, so I think that leaves it to me if you don't know.
Yes, sure.
You jump out, popping out, and it's December in Chicago. It's cold, the snow. So there's a moment where you're like, oh crap, did I not get away? And you are like almost waist deep in the snow. So it takes you a moment to realize that you're actually standing at a doorway and the snowplow has just headed down the street and pushed it up right up onto you in that doorway. But looking around, get your bearings, you see that you're just outside of the loop downtown, in a not very good neighborhood. And as you kind of look about, there's, it's night, and there are some shady sorts of people kind of lurking in alleyways. And as you are watching, a car following the plow comes up and slows down. Across the street, you see someone exit one of those doorways, come up to the window. Maybe there's an exchange as the car drives off. That figure slides back. What do you do?
I suppose call like a cab or something. I call Pete. He's got a badass van.
He's got a badass van. And so I'm going to shift over as Cog and Pete have just seen the goodbye of this hob, and now the shop looks perfectly normal. As you kind of step back out of his little kiosk, you can see that the police officer had run those kids on off, and he's patrolling up there. Probably followed them on off Navy Pier to make sure they weren't going to come back and cause trouble. But he's a little distance away. There are people around, sort of reveling, enjoying kind of the entertainments of the place. And it's nearing Christmas, so people are coming and picking up the little novelty items that are sold here, and sort of the things that you might send off to relatives who aren't in Chicago. Oh, look, it's a Chicago snow globe sort of thing. But that's what's going on. Cog, what are you going to do once this guy's gone? What's the first thing that you're doing?
I think so. Thus far, I've been kind of passive, and Cog's still kind of catching up on where everyone is with this. But I think he's gonna actually just talk to Pete about it and say, "So people are using your turf as a dumpster. Seems like a problem."
Apparently so. I think at least one of them is one of our motley mates. I don't think she realized exactly what the impact would be of just trying to dispose of it here. And it's a big lake, but too much of that stuff in any one place is going to cause trouble.
Yep.
So I'll have a talk with her about that. I don't think she intended to do any of that.
Should we take it and put it somewhere else?
If we can round it all up, I mean, it's basically it's half empty vials that are just floating in the water now, if I remember correctly. So yeah, if we can get the vials cleaned up and do something else with them. But we also need to be careful about being caught anywhere near these things. So that's a problem. But
well,
we can just stop them from doing it. Eventually, it'll dilute, because I mean it's a huge lake. It's going to spread, and eventually it'll be so diluted it won't have any effect. But I'm not sure I want to be the guy that everybody sees fishing these things out of the water underneath the pier either.
Could pay kids to do it.
I could get some of my clients to do it. I let them work off a little bit of their payments. People look into doing that. Just sort of setting up like Navy Pier cleanup. And he'll let a couple people like work off a month's payment or something like that if they put in a couple of days at the pier cleaning this stuff up.
Kind of cool. Were you going to say something, Jason? I think you got interrupted.
No, I'm flipping through my history and looking at if there's another thing Cog would feel moved to do. Like he doesn't know Wendy's in danger, therefore he doesn't act on Wendy being in danger.
Right. And so as y'all are discussing this, and Pete, you're putting this plan into action. I imagine y'all are strolling back towards home, or maybe playing a game or getting a corn dog. It's up to you. But as you've texted off to the your subordinates to set up this plan, you get a phone call. I imagine it pops up ditto on it.
Okay, probably ditto 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what my phone situation is now.
You probably picked up a quick burner phone or something, would be my guess. You probably don't want to use that number again.
No. Hey, Pete, hi, it's me, it's Ditto, and I'm out in the. Hey, Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. What's going on?
Streets. It's well, I was dude, Wendy and I were well. Wendy had to reap a harvest at a bar, and there was a guy had a gun, and then we're in the hedge because there was a giant screaming face in the sky. Well, not because of the gun, but there was a giant screaming face in the sky, and then we ran, and there was a storm, and I lost a hold of them, and now I'm here, and I don't know exactly. Well, it's I'll read off like a street corner, and I don't have a car, and my battery life very. This phone is dying. I hate this phone. It's terrible. I miss my old phone.
Okay, we'll be there in a few minutes to pick you up. Well, actually, Chicago. We'll be there as soon as we can get there.
Very, very, very cold out here. It's there's snow.
Gotcha. Okay, be there in a minute. And Pete hangs up, and then he says, "Okay, we've got to go get Ditto. Something else is going on with Wendy too. They were out mucking around at ritzy bars again."
Nothing good ever comes out of ritzy bars.
No, it does not. Okay, all right. So, hey, have you seen the new van?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is it automatic?
Oh, it's auto something.
Right.
And Pete leads him over to the van, and it is I can't remember if we described this for you last time, but it was originally like a standard like advertising van for Pete's bail bonding agency, but now it is like the super high road trip college age pothead dream of a van. It's like black, and it's got this stylized dragon that goes all the way across the front and it comes to like a fire breathing head on the hood. It's got like fantasy scenes along the sides, like wizards and all kinds of stuff. It's spectacularly ridiculous, and it's also either possessed or haunted depending on your viewpoint. And the van spirit is really, really liking this paint job, and don't say anything bad about it while we're getting into it. Only say happy things about the van while we're driving in it. Okay.
Happy.
If you don't have to say anything about the van, but if you say anything about the van, make it nice.
The van's like us. It used to be functional, and now it's pretty.
Oh.
I am very pretty, Pete says.
Well, you hop in and begin hauling off to the address to pick up Ditto. And it takes a little bit just due to the traffic and it's snow and all of that. So by the time you get there, Ditto, you've had to pull yourself out of the snow. And a couple of ladies of questionable virtue have stopped by and asked if, you were looking to party. A couple of young men of questionable virtue have come stopping by to ask if you'd like to party. And one unquestionably poor virtue gentleman came up and attempted to sell you a whole coat full of Rolexes. Well, if you looked at them, they were Rolexes, but still.
No, it's it's a friend. He's coming. I'm waiting with the van. It has I'm fine. It was dragons on the side. I'm good, actually.
I got it. If you need them. As he hustles off. And about that time, the van does pull up.
And the van revs itself as we pull up, just as though it's asserting dominance over the territory. And the sliding door opens on the side, almost of its own accord.
And Pete will dive in. Thank you. It's very, very, very cold. Very cold. It's very cold.
Okay, how did you end up out here as the door closes and he gives Ditto an opportunity to sit in the heat? There should be an emergency blanket over the back seat.
Running through the hedge, blindly looking for the nearest exit. Always goes great. It's good.
Okay. So you said something. Said you lost Wendy or something happened. What happened?
There was a storm, a face, giant screaming snowstorm face, woman, queen, ice, angry, very angry, lots of wind.
Queen.
She looked that sort of regal, and a crown also. Yep.
And Pete slowly looks over at Cog.
I think Cog is slowly looking at Ditto, who are you left Wendy with a gigantic spirit of royal blizzards.
No, not left. I tried reached, but she's blowing. It was I couldn't see. They're very see through the vague, foggy, and tenuous and wispy.
Patrick, I think this might be a sort of inner turmoil. Don't you?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially having had 20, 30 minutes to stomp in the snow and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
What
you feeling?
Feeling like I wish my mouse would work better.
I'm sorry.
I'll keep talking. She's probably dead, but
good. That's helping. Definitely.
Okay,
sorry.
She's literally made of wind. If the problem was windiness, she may have been able to at least hide herself from whatever that thing was. So we might have a chance to get her out of there, but I don't know if we've got the firepower we'd need to jump back in there right now.
How'd you roll, Patrick?
I got a 10.
Oh, excellent. So you're holding yourself together. And I want to fix up because we don't have Wendy's player in here to play. I think I made a mistake early on. Wendy is they, them.
Oh, sorry.
So,
I know,
and that
I keep
was
slipping and trying to remember.
right. And it's because, we don't have the player here, so we're not looking at that character sheet. But just going forward, because I know I started that.
All right. They're probably did.
So, continue on.
Well, they're literally made of wind. So if we're dealing with something that created a windstorm, they have a pretty good chance of probably avoiding detection or escaping, I would hope. But we've got to go after them. We've got to do something, but we are going to need more firepower than we've got right now.
Yes, fire, yes, and power. The storm, a lot of the hedge. It was covering a lot. It was very big, it's sweepy. I don't know what the hedge looks like now.
I think at this point, like the van, like revs grumpily, like it thinks we're discounting it, and Pete like pats the. Yeah.
Well, the hobgoblin said that she was, so that's probably what the thing was talking about.
Yeah, I can't see there being two scary queens of frozen winter, Shar or something.
We could try to get the princes in on it. I doubt that they're terribly keen to have this lovely place turned into an ice.
I can definitely work the summer court into getting us some help.
Ashwine is and the winter. It's Ashwine is very busy right now. Very busy person.
I thought you said he was also kind of grumpy with you about something. You guys had some sort of big blow up.
I don't remember saying anything about yelling at him in public and saying horrible things so everyone could hear. I don't know why you'd bring that up.
Okay, so probably winter might be a little harder for us to ring up for help. I can get somebody from Summer, but I don't know how much we have to spare since Summer's also kind of handling the bulk of the I guess repatriation maybe, or attempted assimilation of all the folks we rescued from Dr. Holmes's murder hotel.
And Cog, you're a member of Winter as well as Ditto, correct?
Yeah, I am on pretty good terms with Ashwine because Cog's job is to basically enforce the peace between the different changelings, and in fact, that is one of my romantic entanglement is that my love for the Windy is undeclared because of my loyalty to Ashwine. Which Ashwine may not know of the Windy's hate, but I do. So, but certainly I could speak to Ashwine. Whether or not it would work is another question. But
do you mention that? Because I don't know if Pete's really delved into what your exact relationship is.
Oh yeah,
with Ashwine.
Cog will be like, I can ask Ashwine. Probably say no, but I suppose it doesn't hurt.
And I know Wendy, they were Autumn Court, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
don't know of anyone in Autumn that might be able to field us any help from that court at this point. But we might have to try and make do with what we can round up here. So, all right, Ditto. First, let's make sure we have our timeline correct. You were at a expensive bar with Wendy. You were heckling business people, attacking business people, swindling them, stealing their money, getting them to buy you free drinks by looking like celebrities? What was going on?
Little of all of the heckling, mostly hassling, shakedown, backroom sort of, you know.
Okay, so and you said somebody pulled a gun on you because they could see you.
See Wendy, yeah, they saw them. I was watching, keeping an eye out. I didn't see that.
Okay, so if they could see Wendy, that means that either we've got some other problem on our hands with mortals being able to see us, or there's people at that really expensive bar doing fruit, which up until this point I hadn't thought it had penetrated that much into this zone. That's bad news.
Like I said, I've hardly seen it on the street at all. I didn't think people were still. It seems, it's very like no.
So okay.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, I know he did, but if Ditto doesn't say that, then I don't know it.
Which one?
The guy who could see the Wendy in you.
Oh, I forgot about
you
that.
Were connected to Ashwine, and Ditto was like, no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, y'all have seen him and Ashwine exchange some stuff.
Oh yeah, then I would say that in a confused and broken and oh my god, I just remembered this thing sort of way. It's loopy and roundabout.
And people sort of after we get through that, probably at least 5 minutes of talking around the issue, people slowly come to the realization. So this person that pulled a gun on you had been talking to Ashwine.
Wait, I thought.
Or did they?
Not someone else at the bar that was talking to Ashwine, or? Sorry,
I
thought it was him.
Okay,
because I remember Wendy saying that they had Wendy had an issue with Ashwine.
Okay,
I could definitely see them following the person who'd been talking to Ashwine out and making that person.
And then when we were in the room, he made mention of his name, but I thought he was the one we saw past that. They like handed something off to each other.
I think so.
Yes, that then.
Okay.
Ooh, maybe. Okay, Cog. Maybe talking to Ashwine at this stage might not be advisable.
You think he's involved with the Fruit Loops?
It sounds like that could be possible. I don't want to think that because that's going to create a huge amount of problems we really don't want to have to deal with in addition to everything else.
Do you think we'll have enough firepower with just Summer?
Summer's good about firepower, but against this, I think we're going to have to let the courts know that we've got this thing coming. What they
Are
do
you
with
already
that information,
driving by now?
I think we were parked for a few minutes
Okay.
to just to get that going, and I think it's at that point probably the van's getting antsy, so we're probably starting to drive after we get to the point where we've gotten to that last part of the conversation.
There's grown a couple of younger guys, kind of look tough, and they are really eyeing that van. You can't tell if it's just purely out of appreciation for it, or if they're currently thinking, boy, we could cut that up for a bunch of money. But in either case, they've been staring at it, and the van's been giving the sort of notice.
Okay, we'll start to move because of course the windows in this thing are ridiculously tinted. Just this side of legal, and we head down. I'm going to, as we're going along, make a quick phone call to Embers,
Okay.
the Summer Prince, and was Embers she, her, or they, them? I can't remember.
I believe she's a she.
Okay. And let her know that we have some information on that vague threat of a true Fae attack on Chicago, and I'm on my way to give her the latest information we've uncovered.
She says, Pete, I've heard a little bit about this myself. I was going to be getting in touch with you. I was calling in the officers. This isn't good. Get here as soon as you can.
I'm already on my way.
All right. And y'all roar through the city. Have we ever established where Summer Court is?
We had established it was in one of those like MMA studio gyms.
That's right.
Because there's so much just ridiculously testosterone fueled anger in all those places that the anger is just ripe for the plucking. So much of it right there for you.
So you drive up, and the gym is open as y'all head in, but it's not very busy. You see that there are a couple of guys off to the side, and they're working the bag. You see that there are two changelings that you recognize in the ring. They're not on our NPCs, just members of Summer Court. We will name them if we end up having to, but they're sparring in the ring. But Pete, you're pretty sure they're also there in case there's some trouble. They would hop out and handle the trouble. They're kind of the guards. And as the three of you head in, Embers comes walking out of the office from the back, and like I say, she's probably my favorite picture in the whole of the NPCs. I think Embers is so awesome looking. She's just so badass. As she comes walking out, Pete, Cog, ditto. Welcome to Summer Court. I offer you hospitality.
Thank you, Prince. Is there a place where Ditto and Cog could wait? Well, I'm presuming you don't want them in the officers' meeting.
Well,
they might have some information that could be offered later.
I was going to suggest that maybe the three of you, since you have some information, you say, that the four of us will chat a moment before we deal with any court business. Please, follow me. And she'll lead you back to the back where she has an office. It's very nice. It's always quite warm, and it's got a bit of a steamy quality to it. And you see that her plants look just wonderful, even though it's the middle of winter. I've gone over to people's houses, and their plants do well in winter. It always kills me. But hers are just, the flowers are blooming. I mean, it's lovely in there. But she also has up pictures of some of the great champions who have fought here in Chicago. She has across, decorated with the trophies of people who've won from this gym. You can tell that she likes a good fight. Please come in, sit. Pete, what have you seen?
And
do you give her the rundown?
I do, and of course I'll mention the information we got from Ditto about the appearance in the hedge. Not necessarily all the ash wine business leading up to that. I'm leaving that out for right now.
Leaving that off the table, okay?
Because not sure I want to bring that in to court business yet. I'll save that in our pocket for later if we need it.
She looks over at you, Ditto. You're not the first one to have mentioned this storm in the hedge. Tell me, and she'll ask you to give everything you know, and I'm guessing that will be convoluted.
It will contain all of the things that I know about it, and a number of other words and, sounds along the way.
And again, you're also keeping the Ashwine stuff off the table.
Yeah.
She says, yes, that matches with what I've heard as well. Some sort of keeper. In fact, I've been led to believe that it may be more than one. Keepers very rarely work together. There seems to be some sort of cabal that has put Chicago in its sights.
That is legitimately terrifying. One is bad enough. One it's going to take a serious focus of our resources to even combat it. Multiple cooperating.
I have spoken with Spring, and we're on the same page. Autumn being autumn is always difficult. And she has that look of, oh, how I'd like to punch Autumn right in its stupid face. And she goes, and Ashwine has suggested that this is more appropriately handled by Spring and Summer, considering what we've learned of this keeper. Winter is best faced, I suppose, by Summer and Spring. And it is without a doubt this keeper is something of Winter.
It certainly seems that way based on the effects we've seen, but the Fae are nothing if not, lying, cheating bastards. So,
Cog, were you saying something?
So, Cog's been distracted looking at the pictures of the fighters. And like she says the thing about Winter, and Cog's like, that's just stupid. And then he's like looking at the fighters, he's like, I think I knew some of these people.
She looks over at the picture you're looking at. Oh, one of the finest welterweights to ever come out of Chicago.
Yeah, they're all dead now.
She gets this sort of plastered smile like you would if someone cut a fart in church sort of thing. And she's like, yes, I suppose they are. I was going to say that I'm going to bring the officers of Summer together, and we are planning to meet with, let me look up, yes, Beckencall. Meet up with Beckencall and his officers. The way the courts face a keeper, obviously we can't fight them directly. But we do have our tools. Misdirection. Catching them and what it is that makes a keeper themselves. Keepers, they're not, as you of course know, like us. They can be tricked. We're going to try to bring an early spring to Chicago. At least make the appearance thereof. I don't know if this is going to work, but what's important is if we can convince this keeper that their time is waning. She looks at you.
The illusion of rebirth is not going to convince a winter spirit that death is not inevitable. What you need is hope.
Oh my
Good
God,
luck.
I love this character.
Good luck with that.
Oh. Her eyes sort of widen as this is intoned. Hope is indeed what we must cling to. Pete, I hate to ask this of you. She kind of looks at the other two like, you already have so many burdens to bear.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And she doesn't even know about the 2 gunshot wounds.
I would ask, we need to know more. If this winter keeper is not the only one, we have to know what else accompanies it. Otherwise, we cannot set up the defenses that will hold them out entirely.
So we need some intel.
Yes.
And generally, there's only a few places to get intel about the True Fae. Okay.
I will, and she looks over towards Cog and Ditto. I cannot ask you to do this, but if you will help my warden, I will owe you a favor.
I think Cog just kind of nods at that.
Ditto does as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he would have done it for free. Pizza the Motley.
She says, thank you. Thank you. And as she says it, you can feel the pressure, the build of changelings making these agreements together. And you may take a debt on Ember's. She says, Pete, we will begin defenses here. As soon as you get any information, let us know.
We'll call. Okay. And Pete nods and says, will you still need my presence at the officers' conclave before I start on this, or do you want me to just hit the ground running?
I think it is best that we keep your mission quiet. I don't doubt anyone in our court, but I don't know about Spring for sure. Sooner you find out more information, the better. Someone has to be working with these keepers here in the city. This drug, these young ladies who've returned, this can't all be coincidence happening at the same time. Someone is trying to see us.
Someone is trying to break our hold on the mortal world, to make us hide from it and drive us back towards the other side. Okay. We'll start moving, and if I find out anything, or if I think I need any additional support, I'll let you know.
Of course. As you head out, you see that some of summer is starting to filter in.
And Pete sort of leans in as they're starting to break off. He leans in and says, "Don't trust Beck and Call nearly as far as you could throw him." And heads out.
As they're coming in, Ditto, walking by you is Songbird Rex. And let's see, do we have any other entanglements with Cog? Do you have one?
With Songbird Rex, yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
Although Songbird Rex doesn't remember that, but Ditto does.
That's right. So as Songbird Rex comes walking over and, kind of y'all are leaving the office, he's walking towards it. And he looks over at you, Ditto. Decided to come and see how the better folks live.
Thought I'd see what the inside of your gilded cage smelled like.
You'll get a sharp look from Cog on that.
Pete, I see you got put on trash detail. He starts walking by. Do you say anything?
Pete looks over onto him and says, "Look, Rex, if you're still worried about your little problem that you're not being kept in the loop, I understand. It's got to be hard to be shut up like that.
Oh, and he has a...
I'll put in a good word for you with Embers." And he walks off.
He really doesn't like y'all. Cog, him being that close to you, I mean, what goes through your mind seeing him there, having this reminder of your past?
It's a lot of different things. Cog normally projects calm at most times. Songbird being there makes Cog uncomfortable, and he would prefer to just leave and is not speaking up. At the same time, like, his experience with Songbird, even though it was over on the other side, is that it's going to lead to a fight. And so he's half expecting Songbird to make a lunge at Ditto, at which point Cog knows he would have to take him down and doesn't want to, but will. So he's more tense than he normally is.
Ooh, gears grinding a bit.
Yeah, there's probably the ticking is probably more fast.
So Songbird, having been insulted by the two of you, not that he didn't deserve it, and he kind of looks over at Cog, who's ticking, gives a dirty look to you, Ditto, as he moves on past, and as he goes, kind of you get a little bit of feather in the face as the wings flap a bit, but he moves on through. He has to know y'all have hospitality of the court, and he sure ain't gonna pick a fight with y'all in Ember's house. So
Pete's gonna save the remark about his little vestigial wings for later.
He has to flap them like a hummingbird. As y'all head on out, get back to the van. I'm going to kind of leave this open as to, I'm figuring you will want to plan a bit, kind of make a plan of action. So y'all talk amongst yourselves a moment here, kind of figure out what you'd like to do.
So the general idea is that we're trying to gain intel on what's going on, right?
Right. Specifically trying to figure out, like, we know one keeper, at least the main aspect of one keeper that's showing up.
Mm-hmm.
The court suspects there are others. And if they're right, that's freaking scary as hell. And it'd be really good if we knew who those others are and what their aspects are.
Well, we could hustle the hobgoblins.
I was thinking that too. I like that. I mean, that's one thing. Pete likes to shake people down for info.
Yeah, the market doesn't want things freezing over any more than we do.
Yeah, so hopefully we won't have to shake very much, but Pete does like to shake people down. It's fun. Also, we do have some contacts with people who have done a lot of hedge divining lately. Is that your Mercy? Is one, and Ash, the former member of the Motley, had been doing a lot of hedge research lately. Probably not specifically related to keepers, more along the lines of like domesticating hedge beasts. But
we could also So I think so. Semolina Pritchard, yeah, she's a distiller. So we could contact one of our whizzing contacts and see about getting. I was thinking about her in terms of taking something to fight off the cold, because that's going to be an issue.
I like that.
That would be good, actually. A little bit of alchemy never hurt anybody, except for that whole mercury being poisonous thing.
And it'll drive you nuts. Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like we have some plans of action. Are we thinking of splitting up to do these things, or are we going as a group?
I mean, Pete's inclined to drag everybody along together because when he's let Ditto out of his sight before, things have not ended well.
Fair.
I think it's more fun to have the interactions with the three of us together. If there were four, then it would make more. It might be fun to split into pairs, but just in terms of play, it's more fun to have the three together.
I think that's a good idea.
And,
so who?
Oh, and I think Pete also adds that at some point we're going to have to go digging into the hedge ourselves. It's going to be necessary. We're going to try and get as much intel and get as much prep as we can, but we're going to have to dive back in there. If for no other reason, then we need to see if we can find Wendy.
Yeah, if you're going to go speak to the Hobbs, unless you get lucky and find one out here, you're going to definitely have to go into the hedge.
Well, honestly, it seems like we're probably at least half as likely to find them here as we are to find them in the hedge right now.
Go to the park.
Yeah, they're probably trying to get the hell out of the way of that thing too.
All right, so who do we think we'd like to go see first? I think we had some names out there. We had Semolina. We had Zelcher.
Pete would probably lean towards. I think Pete's got a good in with Zetcher. And Zetcher had given us a little bit of intel previously about the things he had seen when he was doing the dream walking bit. So he might hit, but that might be a very short meeting. Pete might be able to do that over the phone. And I can try and do that. This is sort of maybe a gather information or hit the streets kind of move.
It would be.
And so that could be something done quickly that when we could actually go do the direct interaction with Semolina, because that's probably going to take a little more work.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Is there?
Yes, Jason.
But I have a dead on Semolina. That's all I was going to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, then why don't we?
Debt, so that'd be cool.
What's that?
So that means he can use debt. That would be cool.
So you're going to start off by just maybe giving a quick call to Zelcher.
Yes.
Okay. I think this is a hit the streets. Your goal is to get more information about what's happening in the hedge. And Zelcher is someone who you think has his ear to the hedge that could give you that. Is that the idea?
I think so.
All right. So what are you feeling when you contact Zelcher?
Honestly, I think at this point, I mean, this is the first time Pete's had to do this, but I think he's feeling kind of bad about the Zetcher situation and everything that was going on when we left Pete and Zetcher and Abyssinian Max's little mess of an interaction. So I think Pete's going to be using Sorrow, which is not good, but it's what he's got. Everybody's going to try and do here.
We do currently, by the way, just to let everyone know, I keep track of it. We have 3 in the trust pool starting off.
Okay, and I think what Pete's going to do, and I think if memory serves, let me double check myself here, but Zetcher owes me a debt.
He does,
and I think Pete will take advantage of that to get this information.
Well, that you mark off the debt, and you're getting a +1.
All right. So let's see how this goes. All right, that would be a 7 on the dice, +1, or -1, or excuse me, 8 on the dice, -1 for my sorrow, +1 for the debt. So that gives me a total of 8.
Okay, so you've got a hit. So they have the stuff. They have this information, but you're going to choose one. Whoever you're going to is juggling their own problems or whatever you need is more costly than anticipated.
Oh, gosh, both of those would work so well for just your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. Let's see. Hmm. I'm not gonna give Zetcher any I'm not going to give Zetcher any more problems. But I think maybe since Max had offered to leave Zetcher alone, I think maybe Zetcher's problems have cleared up a little bit. So I think it's just going to be more costly than we anticipated.
All right, so you get on the phone, and Zetcher, you kind of put your case in front of him, and he's like, I saw it out there, and it's Storm, but it's a keeper, and when I've had my dreams, I've seen it, all of Chicago covered in ice. And the mortals, they don't have power. They're cold, they're getting hungry, and no one can come into the city. They're hunting us. They think we caused it.
Okay, Zetcher, I have one question. And that's great, and I appreciate that. That gives us some angles to look into. We know that there is a powerful being of winter approaching. We have received some information that there might be others who are cooperating with her. Have you sensed anything of any other beings of that caliber that might be acting in concert with her or from some other direction against Chicago?
Pete, I'm scared, Pete. Pete.
We all are, Zetcher. This is some scary shit, man. It's okay to be scared.
I don't want to have to be here alone. I mean, my house, my house. You got a place, ain't you? You got somewhere safe, right?
I can get you somewhere safe. Do you now I don't want to step on your court's toes. Do you have a safe house that you can go to where you won't be jumping ship like that? I don't want to put you out with your court either.
No. I mean, I'd rather go somewhere where I know that someone's going to look out for me. Not everybody looks out for me in my court.
I get that, Zetcha. Okay. All right, Pete. Pete's going to say, all right, how soon can you be ready to move?
Oh, I'm ready now. Oh, yeah.
Okay, get your stuff together. And Pete is going to give him I'm going to give you something, and Pete tells him, I'm going to give you a place that I keep as a quick crash pad. It's a small apartment, not the best place, not the greatest part of town, but it's private and it's not something that anybody else knows about.
He's scared of being alone.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. All right. That's all right.
He's wanting to come to your den and crash.
Oh, okay. God. Well, I guess while Keenan and her bestie are on their road trip, maybe that won't be so bad. I couldn't deal with Zetcher and them.
No,
constantly. Okay.
Just because you're right. It's just not winter alone.
Okay.
Wheels.
What?
The wheels inside of wheels. The cogs. The keys. The machine.
Oh.
And the wind. The man who screams at the wind.
Okay, Zetcher. Pete gives him the den address. He says, "Be there be there tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Pete.
I have a space ready for you. Okay.
I appreciate it, man. You've always had my back.
I try. Be careful, man. Get your stuff together. And if you hear anything else or get any other vibes, let me know, okay?
I'll do it. So we end our call with Zelcher. Do you let everybody know what you heard?
Pete's leaning back and going, fuck. Okay. He turns around and says, looks like I'm going to have a new house guest.
Do you have limited number of rooms, right?
Yeah, I'm going to let him crash in Keen's room right now. They're on that ridiculous road trip of theirs. So that'll give. I don't anticipate that you're staying there for like long term, but he's done a lot of shit connected to this stuff, and he gave me some information, and I relay to them all of the little references that he made to cogs and machines and people screaming at the wind. And I don't know how much of our durances we've necessarily shared with each other. I know it's probably been cursory at best because I know we don't typically like to talk about that stuff. Changelings don't.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have any inkling of where things like that might have come in, like Pete will sort of try and cushion those details if he can. He's not gonna like not say them, but sort of say, like, softly say those things as far as like throwing them out in the people's faces. So, but he only do that if he knows to do that. And I don't know how much of I don't know how much of that stuff we've shared with each other.
Yeah, Cog again. A motley is as close to a family as a changeling has, but there's still things that you keep private. How much would they know, Cog?
Well, I don't think Cog talked about anything he saw or did while in the stocks, but he probably described the keykeeper in the stocks in broad terms.
Okay.
And it's also when he first showed up, his name was still Cog 437B. So he's just Cog now, but he was Cog 437B.
Okay. And Pete will turn to Cog and say, one of the vibes that Zetra has gotten was about something powerful that had something to do with keys and machines. That might be involved in this mess. And some entity that screams at wind, which
lost me on that one.
That's I can only think that has something to do with what Wendy went through. I mean, it's too close to the heart there. I can't see it being not having something to do with her situation.
I have this vision of like Ditto and Zelcher getting together, and they both understand each other perfectly. It's like a perfect conversation when they talk. Okay. So, Cog, how do you react hearing this?
So
Do we think this is all the way to inner turmoil?
I'll grant that. There's fear. Like, his impulse is to plan to react, but if there's a thing to create inner turmoil, this is probably it.
All right. So, inner turmoil is one of our moves, and so you'll think how you feel on this. And it's kind of when you were forced to deal with that emotional turmoil and pressure from your past, your endurance, your relationships. And, it's the potentials there are things like marking clarity or having things go really askew with you. So how are you feeling?
So I think this is going to be fear. However, I want to clarify a little bit that Cog has always been relatively certain that the keeper would come and find him and put him back, and that would have been not great, but a thing. But the Windy is still not here. The Windy is still over there. The Windy could be added to the exhibit, and if they have the Windy and me, I'd have to jail the Windy.
Mm.
So that's where the actual fear is from.
Excellent.
And so I will select 2 here. And so I'm going to get an experience. I rolled a 4. My fear is +0.
Oh. All right. So yes, you're going to get an experience. And you have this, this image of what it would be like, eternity, imprisoning Windy. And it sort of balloons out from there. Of your other friends, of the people of Chicago, if he gets a hold of all of them, and it's enormously frightening, but it also just has this, how could you endure doing that? I'm going to have you mark clarity, as this is kind of overwhelming to you. But I'm also going to give you a -1 ongoing for situations where you're going to have to, like, stop yourself from bowling forward to protect them.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Things where I normally sit back and think about it first, I'm unlikely to do.
Right.
Got it.
So, this information coming upon, as Pete tells you about this, Ditto, you know Cog well. It's a motley mate. I think you could probably see something, read something of this very real disturbance, how this is affecting them. What do you do? Oh, and I'm sorry. Oh, and Jason, go ahead and mark your fear since you failed.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think Ditto probably feels incredibly guilty. Like he dealt with it all right earlier, but he knows that he could have stayed. He could have looked for Windy harder. He could have stayed in the storm and tried to find some other way out later.
Do you think it's an internal turmoil? I hate to inner turmoil. I hate to keep using that, or do you see something more actionable that you do?
Not specifically, no.
All right. Let's not do that inner turmoil. I think I'm going to.
I can successfully feel awful on my own.
Yeah, I think that this fits well enough with how you describe it, just having you play into it. So, the feeling of responsibility that sort of hits you with it. As this news kind of falls like a rock into the van, I suppose it comes to decide, are we going to go and see Semolina?
Pete's of the opinion we need to go see her, because we're going to have to get any more intel on what we've got, and what we've got is basically just mumblings and mentionings at this point. And Pete will relay that in a quick phone call to Embers, or a text message, really. say, I discovered a couple of other possibilities that might be involved. Here they are, but I don't have confirmation on these yet.
Okay.
And then Pete says, we're going to have to go into the hedge. We're going to have to talk to other things from the hedge and see what kind of information they can provide. And to do that, we're going to need something that will help us survive that storm.
Maybe we should get that and go and look for the Windy first.
I'm not opposed to that, and in fact, think it is a damn fine idea. Wendy may also, in addition to being awesome and cool, and we want to get her back, she can also offer some insight on some of this stuff that we might not have.
Okay, so the decision is speak to Semolina and then go look for Wendy.
Yep.
Okay. So you drive. Yeah.
That's secretly Cog being reckless. Because the right thing to do is, in fact, to go get help from hobgoblins. But Cog changed the plan.
Excellent. And so you drive through the city. Again, the white and the snow, the wind, the slush, the kind of ickiness of Chicago. And, now that the snow's been here a while, it's piled up, it's blackened. And you drive to Semolina's bar. Semolina runs a bar of her own. It is called the, let's see. Make sure I know. Semolina's in Spring, isn't she?
Yep.
Yeah. So, she has her bar, which is called the Bursting Bud, which is kind of off, it's out of the loop. But it's a very pleasant sort of lots of techno music, but it's always on that kind of like J-pop sort of jippy skippy sort of happier sounding music. The place is done up in sort of like day glow and very lots of chroming things. And as you come in, she looks over at Ditto and Cog and, oh, guys, hi, so good to see you. And she comes rushing over because the two of you, she genuinely likes. Ditto kind of keeps an eye out for her, though she isn't quite as aware of that. But the two of you, the three of you are pretty friendly. I don't know how much you know her, Pete.
Not much. I think Pete may have seen her at the group functions occasionally. Because if memory serves, I think she's not like the head of the court, but she is one of their movers and shakers.
I don't know if this is your sort of bar in general there, Pete. It is not super busy. By this time of night, it's getting a little late. She has a crowd that tends to hook up and leave early. So there's not a ton of folks there. But as she comes up, she gives a hug to you, Ditto. She gives a hug to you, Cog. And, it's like, come in. Would you like a drink? Oh, hi, Pete. Nice to see you.
Pete
Come
nods.
on. Something warm. We have the flamin' pepper here. Warm you right up.
So Semolina is one of the few people that Cog is actually happy to see and will even half smile about.
Oh my God, his face is broken.
And he'll be like, that sounds great. We're here to talk about maybe something a bit stronger, too.
She looks at you. Ditto, you were saying something?
I was just going to say, I think Ditto is still damp and bedraggled, and will look up sort of hopefully at warm.
Oh, sweetie. Oh, have you been swimming? And she's kind of ushering y'all over towards the bar. Oh, you need. Oh, and as she goes back behind the bar, she whispers something to the girl that was behind there bartending, and she scoots out. And a few minutes later, comes back with a Hello Kitty blanket, which she puts around your shoulders.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Semolina has been over there, and she's putting stuff into the shaker and She lays it out across there, 4 glasses. She pours them pretty tall. And then she reaches out. She kind of looks around a little bit. And then she puts her hand across and rubs each of the glasses stem, or the rim. And it lets out this kind of musical high note as poof, 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 they pop into a greenish flame. Says, "Here's mud your eye," and slings one back.
You'll toss it back.
Yep.
A warmth does flow through you, and there's kind of a comforting sort of heat that rises up from it. If any of you have a condition, it will clear.
Hooray!
As she has made her goblin fruit cocktail for y'all. And she leans in and says, reaches out, taps both Ditto and Cog's hands. "If there's anything I could do, I'll help." And she smiles. And behind her, in the mirror, you could see the dance floor as they begin dancing away to some extremely poppy sort of tune. And they're jumping and singing. We're going to take our break there.
All right.
Since it's 9:30. And we'll come back and we'll have our talk with her and decide what we're doing after that. See y'all in about 5 minutes. Well, we're hitting some of our flags.
Yeah, we're working it. So much sad. So much sad.
Oh, yeah. Always the sad.
Cog is like really the the ultimate winter court person. Like literally everything is like bringing the sad. Every single thing is really pushing that home. That's awesome.
All right. So Semolina has, given you drinks, a Hello Kitty blanket, and is looking at you there, Cog. What do you need?
Excuse me, I decided to get actual whiskey because we're doing this, and I'm like, I should have drunk that a moment ago. So, Cog is gonna go. I don't know if you've heard about the storm and the keepers approaching. My Motley's trying to find out more. We need something to protect us from the cold. Keep the chill out.
Well, I mean, I'd heard rumors, and Beck and Call it's called in all the officers of our court. You should be careful, though. It sounds like it's extremely dangerous, Cog.
It probably is. That's why I need your help.
All right. Let's see what I can do. Why don't we have you roll a hit the streets?
Sure. Now, just to talk it through here, if I roll hit the streets, I'm keeping the debt, or do I just mark off the debt?
You can choose to use the debt to add a +1 to this.
Okay.
Or you can, let's see, out of cash.
So normally this would be give you a worthy and useful gift without costs.
Right. You're doing, you could cash in a debt and just flat out get it, not have to roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to roll instead. I'm just talking through the system a little.
Okay.
Whereas a hit the streets, let's see here, is still a situational move. Hit the streets to get what you need. All right. So I think I'm actually rolling with calm on this just because of the way that he's doing the appeal.
Okay. And you're going to hold on to the debt and just do a roll off calm? All right.
I'll just roll on calm. Blah, blah. Ah! Oh, all right. So, it showed me my old dice for a moment. I rolled a 6. I have a calm +2, so I have an 8.
Excellent.
And I don't think my -1 applies here, and it wouldn't matter if it did. So
you're having
either
the
juggling
choice
their own
there.
problem. Yeah. Juggling their own problems, or what I need is more costly than anticipated. Let's go with. We just did a cost, but I'm willing to say that she might not need help with a different problem that we can help her with. So let's say that she's got some of her own problems.
Okay.
Oh, come on! Everybody can come live at Pete's Den. I mean, that seems to be where things are going.
All right. As you you tell her this, she says, "Well, Cog, Ditto, and Pete, I would do anything to help you out that I can. She reaches behind her bar and she begins pulling up bottles, and you see that she also has pulled up some like empty, those little tiny mason jars, little tiny jam jars, and she begins mixing her liquors. I don't ever mind doing something for you, ever, but the truth is that I've been a little worried myself. This difficulty, if this keeper comes, I'm going to have to, we'll all have to leave. We'll have to run. Cog, you know how much I value my wine cellar. And so many other things I have in my wine cellar besides wine. If you're going into the hedge, I imagine somewhere around there you'll be able to get to a market. If you happen to get to a market, I could really use something that would carry all of my things. Just
All right.
saying.
So that's the thing where like we were going to put off the market, but now there's the market back on the table again. Curse you.
Could be after you find Wendy.
Yeah. So Cog says, I expect we'll be at one soon. I'll make it top priority.
You're the best, Cog. And she's going to lean in and sort of kiss you on your cheek as she pulls where she's decanted all of this stuff into really rather tall glass decanter. And she begins to pour it. She begins to pour it into the little mason jars. And then she reaches underneath the bar and she brings out these tiny little red peppercorns, which she drops one in each. Takes the lids and begins to scroll. This should keep you warm. I'll say it's also, well, highly flammable and very intoxicating. I would suggest using it when it gets really cold. And, well, be prepared. It packs quite a punch.
I'll look forward to it.
Please take care of yourselves. And she'll reach over and pat your hands and pat yours, Pete. And when you get back, I'll owe you a round. She looks over at you, Ditto. And, she kind of sees that, you and your blanket still huddled there. She comes around and she says, thank you for all you do. Kind of conspiratorially in your ear.
I don't. It's not. It's fine. I just thank you for the blanket.
And as she leans from your ear where she was whispering, she kisses you on the cheek, and you feel this warmth kind of going through you, around you, and you instantly feel your hair dry, your clothes perfectly dry and smelling of spring. And so I suppose you
Pete
head out.
Pete coughs a little bit at the strong spring smell because he's got a superhuman sense of smell. He's just like,
yeah, it's definitely like flowers and dirt and pollen.
oh, man. I have my allergies.
When she's gone, Cog is like, all right, that's way too much happiness for me. Let's get out.
I think I'm going to need to get some Benadryl.
And so y'all head back out into the storm and into the cold. But it sounds like y'all are planning to head into the hedge.
Sounds that way.
Let's see.
So,
is there any other?
This is a great
info
plan, and nothing could go wrong.
Yeah, perfect. This is the best plan we've ever had. Is there anything else that we needed to do on the outside before we made the jump? Because Pete's thinking he's gonna take the van. Because I can't think of anything more awesome than driving that van through the hedge.
I think that sounds amazing.
So Cog is still Cog and is going to suggest that you get tire chains.
Pete leans down and whispers to the van. You don't need chains, do you? Vroom.
As you whisper that, you see the tires sort of do a little wobbly bit. Pete, if you'd like to, kind of work a contract, I won't make you roll, but if you'll give a clarity to it,
I'll totally give a clarity to it.
the tires sort of wobble, and they get those spiked tires that we see like when we get really up north, those winter set tires that have the knobblies on them.
I get to take a clarity move now. I have 5 clarity.
Woohoo! As you're a little less humanly sane, I suppose.
I'm talking to a van.
That would certainly qualify it for clarity loss. And so with the knobbly tires on, you begin making your way through the streets. Anything else anyone is wanting to do? Ditto. Is there anything you wish to do before going into the hedge?
I don't think so.
Okay. Jason, anything that Cog wants to do before going in?
Even though I don't have fear marked anymore, he's still a little impatient to get on with it, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah, normally he would have been like, we should talk to Ashwine, we should do more preparation. Nope. Let's go.
All right. Pete, sounds like you're set to go as well. Then you begin through. You know that to go into the hedge with the van, we'll need an opening large enough for the van. So there's what you like.
I'm thinking Pete's going to go take a traditional route to go to strange places, and he's going to turn around and go underneath the bridge.
Heading through. It's about midnight, little after, as you pass underneath this overpass, and someone needs to roll me into the hedge.
I think it's got to be Pete.
Sounds good.
He's driving
Sounds
the
right.
van.
Does anyone wish to do something to help, and we could pull a point from the trust pool, or are we just trusting Pete to get through there without it?
Did you have an idea, Patrick, for Ditto?
I was just gonna say, Ditto could try and do his best to lead you back through the same sort of areas that he came out in. When she dried me, that was like my hair and clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe like he pulls off one of his shoes and like thumps the snow that's worked its way up in the treads and has just sort of been packed in there. Because the deepest in there would be like when he first popped out into that snowbank there. Gotcha.
So as you pull this out, this sort of sympathetic pull, Pete, you can roll 3 dice and take the better 2, and we'll spend a point from the trust pool.
Okay, and Pete is going to use power for this.
Okay.
So let's see how that goes. That will be an 11.
Oh, fantastic. Well, with an 11, pick one of the following. Well, first, on a hit, you get to pick arrive where you want, evade pursuit, find what you want, or learn something about the world. Choose one of those, and then you'll pick one of the others.
Okay. Let's see here. I think I want to arrive where we want. I want to learn something about the world. Those are going to be my, or actually, let's see.
I think you only get one.
One of those, okay. Okay. I think I'm going to, we're going to arrive where we want. I think Ditto's sympathetic snowbank or snow sample, I think gets us there. And I think some of that snow, and Ditto might not have known it, but some of that snow was actually from that enchanted snow in the hedge.
Ooh, nice.
So that's what helped pull us into exactly where in the hedge we needed to be. And on the bad stuff,
bless you.
Thank you.
We are obviously going to draw attention. This is a big, ridiculously painted up van driving into the hedge.
Fantastic. And so, as you gun it through the underpass, and as you're going through it, you know, there's that feeling of entering the hedge, and you see that where this underpass kind of tunnel underneath the street above, you should have popped out so quickly, but instead, you now can see the walls almost closing in. You could see vines and trees that are on either side of you, and even as you're driving, you could hear the scratch of these branches going down, maybe ruining the paint, oh Lord. But scratch down the sides as you come out. You're in an open area, which is unusual. Normally, when you come out of the hedge, you come to a trod where the labyrinth of the hedge is. But as you skid kind of to a stop, and there's snow on the ground here, so the van wiggles a bit, you can see that this is an open area. There's deep, dark forest all around it. Think very much that evergreens, but with snow on it and black trunks. You can see that the undergrowth inside of the trees, very dense, almost like blackberry bushes, but covered in the snow and the ice. But in this clearing, you could see what probably was a goblin market, if there were any goblins here. It's instead just stalls and little storefronts that are completely empty. Around you, it's quiet. Except you begin to hear tick, 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 tick. And as the van skids to a halt, coming out from around two of these storefronts, you see two looking very, think Wild Wild West-ish, sort of mechanical spiders. And Cog, you know whose handiwork these are. And you see that the two of them come and look over in your direction, you know, their gears moving their legs as they look. And behind them, tied up in this glowing blue silk, is a tempest. I think it's probably windy. Cog, what do you do? You're muted, my dear.
That's all right. I'm taking a moment to look at the things here.
Okay.
Because what I really want to do is invoke a contract, but we haven't really done much of that yet now.
Okay. You certainly can do that. Invoking a contract is you're calling to some greater power of the universe. It's not like you're not like a cleric. You're not calling. It's like you're choosing to call to darkness, or mirrors is one that I've seen quite a bit because Patrick likes that one. But it's some fundamental part of the universe. And you can get it to do the things it says.
All right. Yeah, so I think Cog actually immediately exits the van, and then kind of stomps into almost a sumo stance, because here in the Fae he is much bigger, and smashes his hands together. And when he does, they kind of expand out into multiple like little bits of metal and wood that start spinning. And so he's advancing on the clocks while his arms are these giant gyrating morning star things, and he's just advancing with the same kind of mechanical nature that they are.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay. So you're invoking a contract to produce these things that will go up there for your doing your damage to attack them with.
Yep.
Excellent.
So we'll see how that goes.
What you feeling?
I think we're probably going to call that power.
Okay. And are you attempting to scare them off, or are you attempting to have an advantage when you go into grips with them?
Well, let's see here. I think I'm looking for an advantage on this.
Okay.
I do have my power of Colossus would also give me the ability to ignore damage the next time I take damage. But even on a 10, it looks like I only get to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular case, I think he's looking for the advantage in the damage.
Excellent.
So we're going to go for that.
On a 10 plus, you can mark a condition to do a second effect.
Oh, well, if I get a 10 plus, we'll see about that then. All right. 7.
All right.
Lucky to have a thing that I've got a 7 and 9 on. So yeah, so I'll take advantage against the target and mark a clarity.
You mark clarity, yes, because you're calling to, I'm guessing, like the metal itself. Is that the greater power you're calling to?
Yeah.
Okay. And you will get your choice, which is taking that advantage against your target next scene, which is excellent. And I'm going to name the catch that comes from this. These great metal balls, you're swinging these maces that you've got there. They are hungry to fight. They want to fight. And more than that, they want you to take trophies. So they want you to take a trophy from these things when you defeat them.
Fair enough.
All right, so you're advancing in. I'm gonna hit everyone else, and then I still think you're gonna be the first to get to them more than likely. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, sure.
But Ditto, what are you doing?
I think I turned to Pete in open mouth shock, and what?
Cog is so fucking metal, he just became bigger and more metal.
Oh, so that wasn't just that. What I didn't. That really. Yeah.
He's about to fight spiders with spinning giant metal mace hands with spikes on them. If your phone worked, I'd say record this because this is fucking awesome, but the camera wouldn't work.
The battery is almost. Should we? I guess. Let's follow.
We should probably go. I mean, be available to help. I'm not sure he's going to need it, but you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll need some help with cleanup.
So you hop out, Ditto?
Sure. I'm not terrified of giant spiders or my motley mate at all.
All right. And Pete, What are you doing?
Pete gets out, and he's got an idea that he's going to hold in reserve. He during his last meeting with Ash, and he met Ash's hedge wolf. He managed to pick up a leaf from that hedge wolf because it was basically a wolf made out of like hedge maze stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if it looks like we need more help, or if it looks like our motley mate needs more help with these things, Pete will call on that. But the main thing is if we can recognize that it looks like they're holding someone prisoner, then we're going to move to try and get that person out or free whatever that is trapped.
Okay, so you're kind of starting to move over there towards what this tied up in the silks thing is. I gotcha. So you begin.
Because I think Cogs seems to have that handled. Like, I don't. Right now, Pete doesn't see that Cog needs help. If he does, he's got his little idea in reserve.
Okay, and Ditto, you're following with Pete, kind of skirting this a bit as.
Yeah, if we're oh thank God we're not getting in the middle of that. Then if we're out of the line of attention, I will try and study and maybe use my Know the Shadows.
Oh, good. Oh, I love a study roll. What you feeling?
Let's go with desperately trying for calm because this is all normal. This is not instantly gone way over the top or anything like that.
It's not like we're watching a heavy metal cover.
It's 9 + 1 is 10.
Ooh, fantastic. So you're going to get 2 hold. You get to spend those hold to ask a question about the situation or place we're in, or to reveal, to ask a detail about a person, or to reveal a detail yourself.
I'm going to start with my Know the Shadows question because we are in the hedge.
You are.
What is not as it seems here?
That's not really a prisoner tied up in those silks. That's bait.
You broke up there. What was that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I said that's not really a prisoner in those silks. That's bait.
Where did these spiders come from? Who sent them?
You see, as Cog is moving forward, the kind of similarity between the construction of these things and him, and one of them turns and looks and says, Cog 737 or 437B, you are malfunctioning. The Keykeeper is ready to tune you up. Submit to engineering. So you're pretty sure that it's the same keeper that took Cog. You want to hold it? It's a hold.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So you hear this, Cog, as you're walking forward. Are you planning to submit to engineering?
No, I'm planning to smash its head and go, request denied.
Oh, I love it. Sounds like conflict. And since you've done your invoke a contract, you're rolling with advantage to start off with. So, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I've had time to think about that. I think that this is actually going to be sorrow.
Oh,
I'm sorry that they followed me here. I'm sorry that my friends have to see them. Uh, I'm a little sorry to have to smash them. But there we go.
there we go.
All right, so I'll roll the 2 I've got on the board already first.
Okay.
And that's not good. I'll hope for... Jesus Christ, I got 3 1s.
Oh, no.
I did. It's true.
Mm. As you move up to smash at this one that spoke to you, and it has moved up too, you wham hit at it, and it's so smoothly avoids it as it reaches out towards you with its front legs, and you see this blue energy sizzling as it reaches and touches you. And you're going to mark your sorrow as damaged. Let's see, but you're an ogre, aren't you?
I am.
You may choose to mark wounded if you'd like instead.
I will do that thing.
And that will mean you're -1, but you could still use sorrow.
Oh, I see. As opposed to drained, but then drained cuts off other things. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I see. I can mark wounded.
I'm so sorry. Wounded doesn't do a penalty. That's right. That's your special thing. I'm sorry. So yeah, you could mark wounded and not have it affect you.
Yeah, let's do that. That's
there you go.
Part of being an ogre.
Excellent. So yeah, zap.
That puts me at 5 XP. Can I go ahead and pick something now?
You certainly can if you got something you think cool.
I'll just flip through it while people are doing things.
All right. So all of you see as Cog comes in to swing and misses, and this thing zaps into him. And you can see that now that it zapped him, there's this blue line of silk that's spewed out of its abdomen that's crawling across the ground, looking like it's fixing to reach up and grab a hold of Cog. Pete, what do you do?
Did Ditto share this thing about the other thing being just a decoy?
Yeah, and I think as my last hold there, since that's obviously a decoy, and that makes sense because if this is Cog's keeper, then the storm that would be Wendy's keeper, and there's no way if Wendy's keeper got them back that they would let them go again. So I think my third hold is revealing a detail of I think there is an agent of the Wendy's keeper here keeping an eye on things, and they're the one that we could follow back to or pressure for information about Wendy.
Excellent. Okay.
And so I don't know what they are, but I'll point them out to Pete.
I think as you're saying this, you say to Pete and draw his eye over behind where the bait's hanging. You can see the snow spinning and a sort of little whirlwind behind it. But occasionally in that whirlwind, you see eyes or a face or like a hand just appearing in that snow, moving up. And you're pretty sure that's a changeling. So you convey that to Pete?
Yeah, I'll point out a snow devil to you over there.
Okay. Well, it looks like our friend Cog is going to need some help too. Do you want to try and see if you can ambush the little snow devil fellow or thing, and see if I can run interference for Cog?
And I think he'll look very unsure as you're saying, like, do you want to sneak off and go deal with that thing? And then you lay out the other option, which is going to wade into the middle of whatever Cog is doing. And then I was like, yeah, no, yeah, small snow devil, got it. Yep.
Okay, and then as you know, Pete's going to leave that to Ditto, and Pete's going to take this leaf. He's going to clap his hands together and whistle through his hand with that leaf, and he's going to try and invoke a contract to call a pack of those hedge wolves out to attack these spider things.
Ooh, lovely. All right, what you feeling? I feel like a little like a therapist when I run this game. And what are you feeling about that?
I think did I share with you what one of my friends used to call this game? They called it victim to therapy. So yes, it fits. I think Pete's going to be rolling with power because he's trying to invoke a contract, and it's not a contract that's normally something he would do. This is something that he's cobbled together after talking with Ash a little bit about his adventures in the hedge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a roll with power. And let's see how this goes. Woo! You have cursed us, Cog. That is double ones.
Sorry.
Snake eyes. And that will be a +1. So that'd be a total of 3.
As you pull this leaf out and you're beginning to whistle at it, the other spider that is not engaged with Cog just out of nowhere hops over and smashes you with one of its enormous metal spidery arms, flinging you and the leaf in different directions, smashing you back up against one of these little stalls, and you crash through it. I'm going to have you mark a condition there.
Okay. Just mark power or drained?
Power or drained.
What effect did drain have? I'm trying to remember.
That's the one I was telling Jason with wounded. It's a -1 to all rolls. Okay. Wounded doesn't really do that. That's the drain that does that.
Okay. I'll mark power for right now.
Okay. Cog. Things don't look so good.
Well, when things look down, you keep smashing. Quick check on something. So drained, you have to use glamour to recover from that, don't you?
Yes. Or support can do that. Support someone can do that. Magic can do that. That sort of thing.
Okay. So yeah, my intent is to smash harder. Basically.
Excellent.
So I believe I get to keep rolling with advantage for my target during the scene. So the chances that I'll roll 3 1s again seem unlikely.
Ooh, don't force yourself.
Yeah. I think I'm not on sorrow anymore. Yeah, I think I'm going to call this power.
Excellent.
All right. Huh. Let me check something.
Shit rolling poorly.
I didn't. Yeah, I see what I did.
Ah, there you go.
There I go. All right. So that is 8.
Is your power a 0?
No, it's +1. 3,
I got
4,
you. It's a 7. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
So what I'm looking at here
is conflict. You're going to get to pick 2 off of it. If you have a debt on someone, you don't exactly in this. I don't think you could have added 1 to it, but you can. You see your list there. It's a pretty long one. I won't read it all.
I think I want to create an opportunity for me and my allies, and also to inflict harm. My basic idea is that there's the one that's on me, and then there's the one that's crawling over towards Humorous Pete. and I'm literally going to fastball special one into the other to create arm and create an advantage. So it's just like it gets caught up in the rotor, and then I just kind of lower it so it goes like a frisbee into the other one.
Oh, that's so cool. So as it flies across and it smashes into the other one, I'm going to say both of them are going to take harm. So I'll keep up with each taking a harm. And you can see them sort of, their gears have the bit of sparks flying from them grinding as they smash into each other. And Pete, that one, they're sort of tumbling there as you're looking up at this. But that wire, that silk that was winding around your leg, Cog, as it goes flying, the silk grabs you so that kind of in what Wile E. Coyote fashion of throwing something and watching it as you go flying off after it, smashing into the side of it as well. And are now kind of tangled up in them. I'm going to have you mark a condition there as you take harm as well. It'll be power or the drained.
Yeah, I'll just mark power.
Mm-hmm. Ditto. There's a very large battle going on behind you, and it's quite noisy. A lot of metal clanging against metal. You're seeing flying metal spiders and then a flying metal cog coming after it. What are you doing?
I think I'm trying to sneak towards that snow devil.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the mimic and the reshaping where I can appear as another seeming or kith. And so I would like to try and do my best snowstorm elemental.
Okay.
And come forward and try and I think I'll come up to it saying, she has called for you to come back. This engagement is not going well.
Okay, I think that sounds like conflict as well. That's a social conflict you're putting on there. Just to offer up, you feel like pulling something from the trust pool?
No, I already get advantage on this from my Know the Shadows move.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm definitely trying to go with power here. Wow, okay. That's a 7. That was horrible.
Ooh, the dice have turned. All right, so with a 7, you're going to get to choose 2.
Confuse them for some time. Expose a weakness or flaw. In the sense that I was like trying to poke at and see if I could figure out what their backup plans were or what he might do in a moment of panic or something like that. But yeah, if he lets anything slip about evil Snow Queen lady, I forget her name, Queen of Shards, something like that.
Queen of Frozen Shards.
Queen of Frozen Shards. That would be cool too.
Okay.
But I guess I won't avoid the reprisals, harm, or cost.
As you say this swirling snow moves over closer to you, and you can see like a face appear and disappear in front of you. I don't know you.
The storm is vast. Do you know every flake in it?
No. But I am to wait. I am to wait and watch here. She wants me. Well, she and he want me to trap the Windy.
It's obvious that the Windy isn't coming here. What, you would rather ignore your lady's orders when you hear them? I will be sure to tell her as much.
No, no, that would not be. That is not what I'm saying. And as this thing, and you're, Ditto, you have this sort of, you're taking on this mantle of that type of being. It's there. You're trying to trick it in the words of a keeper. It plays with your mind what you're doing a bit. It can have you mark clarity.
Ow.
As it says, I don't know, but it's confused, and it's certainly trying to weigh its options at the moment. You've definitely put it into doubt, and we'll come back to you in a moment to see about getting anything else out of it. As we come to you, Pete, these things and Cog are kind of in this pile there. They're heavily disrupted. What are you doing?
I think what Pete's going to do is he's going to jump into the mix of these things, and he's going to cut that wire. He's going to take his claws and just cut that wire that's attached to Cog's leg, and try to basically break Cog out of this, big metal mess.
Excellent. Sounds like a stay strong to me, and you're rolling an advantage because Cog did set you up to, have the, opening here for this. What you feeling?
Oh, I think Pete's pissed.
Yeah, I can see anger at this one. Yeah.
Okay, that'll be a 9.
That's a pretty good roll. Do you want to try and pull from the trust pool, or?
He's already rolling with advantage.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh well.
The only I could pull one of my debts from Cog, but I don't know if that would really work here to get a +1. I'm not sure how I'd do it.
Well, it'd be more along the lines there of Cog doing something, deciding something that would help in the situation, and that if you're owed a debt, would no longer be owing the debt.
Do you help me pull you out of the pile so we can get a 10+?
Well, I think what I probably do is I grab onto one of the spider heads while they're trying to eat your face, and you're cutting the thing.
I approve.
Excellent. So that takes it up to a 10.
Okay, so that just means it happens.
Right.
Basically, Pete claws that piece of blue silkish stuff off, and he lifts Cog out of that mess.
And I think because, both for time and because it was a good roll, I think Cog's kind of clamped down on this thing's head that was fixing to bite you. And we hear a sort of metally bendy bit as you pull Cog and Cog pulls it. And we get a bit of a spark as this thing's kind of, as before Cog lets go, it's now sort of twisted over and doesn't look like it's doing very well. In fact, it's kind of doing crazy spider jumpy around movements like it's in bad shape. Cog, what are you doing?
Well, I need me a trophy. So I think actually what Cog's doing is like his hands kind of reform, but then like one of them he holds out, and then it turns into actually a fine point screwdriver, and he starts going and disconnecting the head from the rest of it.
Oh, that seems good.
I'm going to call that a calm conflict if I can.
You certainly can. In fact, I think this is more of a stay strong. You're trying to just accomplish a thing.
Happy to do that. All right. And I'm glad I'm rolling with freaking calm. 7.
All right.
Bad night for
It
rolls,
has
man.
been rough. As you pull off the head of this thing and it collapses down, and you're pretty sure that unlike you, who are a person who was turned into you, these are just the key keeper's creations. You know,
Probably.
yeah, probably. It collapses down, but collapsing it down meant that the other one has gotten free as it moved away, has kind of gained a little bit of distance, and it sees that it's overmatched at the moment and looks. Cog 437 437B, you are out of order. You will be repaired. And you see it start moving. It's trying to get out of here, but it's blaring out this sort of repair, and probably try to bring some reinforcements.
Hey, could I? I've got the clarity move I might want to try and use here.
All right.
I have the Predator's Gaze clarity move. I mark a clarity, lock eyes with something, and it has to stay still as long as I lock eyes with it.
Ooh.
So as soon as it looks back,
it freezes. The as it stops. I'm gonna go over to you, Ditto. You see this odd tableau of the metal spider, its head kind of doing a little back and forth as it stares at Pete from across the clearing. You see Cog with this big metal spider head in his hands. And you've got your little spinning person there who's kind of, what are you doing?
So you're determined to stay here and follow your lady's previous orders rather than taking her new ones?
No, you're right. You're right. I should go and report to my lady. It begins moving off at good speed.
Oh, that worked. Ditto puts down the rock he had picked up that was hiding behind his back.
Yeah, it's already confused and has seen this has not gone well with its allies, and you certainly can stay here and deal with this. I've been called back, is kind of its, as it and disappears off in a cloud of snow, unless you do something about it.
No, it was sort of very. I did my end. What are you guys doing?
This thing is stock still. I don't think we need to do a rolly bit if...
I think what happens is that Cog walks calmly towards it, picks up one of the stalls in one hand, and just brings it over, goes and squishes it.
Oh, I love it. Its legs splay out. There's a bit of motor oil that comes running out from underneath the stall as it is squished.
I hate those things.
I just met them today, but I hate them too.
Ditto. You still see the thing wrapped in the silk there. You're the nearest to it is when I'm coming back to you. Inside is this swirling tempest. What are you doing?
I suppose I'm eyeing that. Is that just some random decoy, or is there actually something in there?
Why don't you roll me a study?
I feel fairly calm. Things went really well. I scared off the bad guy. They beat up the giant spiders. I didn't have to beat up giant spiders. Everything's great. I'd say 9.
Ooh, all right. So with the 9, you get 1. Do you wish to declare something about it or ask something about it?
No, I'll ask. What's up with the thing?
Inside, this Tempest that's in there kind of is looking through the silk as it's wrapped. It says, "Help me! Let me out!" And, you see this. It's an air elemental. It's a changeling.
Oh. Yeah, I'll pull it. It's not sure what its actual physical situation is, but I will try to get it closer to me and extract it from whatever's going on.
You pull the silks away. This tempest of wind drops down and kind of not solidifies so much as forms up to a humanoid shape. It's still just the winds and the snow blowing within. Thank you. I was left here. My friend. They said my friend Wendy would come for me.
You know Wendy.
We served in the Great Gale together.
And I think the like sort of swirling snowstorm that's going on around Ditto will just sort of like fly off, and this ice quickly melts, and it's Ditto's sort of normal skin underneath it as this disguise flies off, and he says, "You know her, them. Have you seen the Wendy? Have they come through here? They haven't caught them yet."
No. They said that I would be the one that brought them here. That the Wendy would not be able to resist my call.
Oh, that's wow. That's I'm sorry you were not able to resist. You say?
Yes. The Wendy hears the whispers, and out of that wind come all of these whispers. It's despite their whispers, it's kind of loud and overwhelming. As there are myriad sounds of voices.
Good. Whispers. Yeah. Keep whispering. Run. We're gonna run that way, far away from the storm. But just whispers, sounds, noises. Ditto. Cog. Pete. Ditto. Cog. Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's looking over at all of you.
Whisper.
And so, Ditto is bringing this person back to the two of you and seems to be implying we should run.
This is a Wendy, not the. But they're calling, sending, whispering, connecting.
I guess you have another house guest.
I suppose I do.
And are we? The question I want to ask real quick, because I think we're close to closing in on our end. Are you taking? And by the way, her name is Stormy. Are you going to take her out of the hedge, or are you continuing through the hedge with her to try and find the Wendy?
Going out of the hedge at this point is probably a bad idea. I don't know if we can get back.
Okay.
We're certainly not. It certainly doesn't sound like a good idea to exit the hedge, deposit her somewhere alone, and be like, "Hey, don't move. We'll be back in a couple hours."
So you hop in the van and begin moving away from here, choosing trods that are wide enough for the van. The whispers continue around you. And it seems that Stormy is, will kind of direct you away from where she knows the bad stuff is. No, don't go that way. That's towards the storm. And following her directions, you do reach where the hedge is less snowed, where the green has begun to peek back through all of the ice. And yes?
While we're driving, I want to try and hit Pete with a comfort and support. For good.
Excellent.
Because, he's in the back. He's fiddling with this spider head that's in his hands now. And he's like, thanks for saving my life again, Pete. You do good work.
We all do good work. We help each other. That's what we do. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. You're a good friend.
That Spiderhead's damn creepy,
Yeah.
It's super fucking metal, I'm not gonna lie. But it looks creepy as hell.
And so, why not, what are you feeling?
I was trying to use my general calmness actually again,
Okay.
as his just matter of fact way of saying you're just good.
Excellent.
Let's see if the dice are any nicer than they have been. They are 13.
Woohoo! All right.
Hey, what does that get me on the comfort and support?
You will clear a condition.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
And Jason, or we could add to trust, but I think it sounded like he was trying to comfort you rather than
you could add to trust instead if you wanted.
And then you, Jason, you get that other choice, the choices down there below.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just go ahead and clear a condition also, because I technically have 2 marked because of wounded.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to go ahead and clear out my power.
Excellent. And so, with this kind of tender moment, and you leaving the more deep froze area, you enter into where the hedge kind of is closed in enough that you're having trouble finding a way with the van. And we're going to end, I think. I think we're going to go ahead. It's 20 till, so a little early. We still got after session. I think we're going to end. Because as you reach a point where there's no way the van can continue. The trees are too close. But you do see a path leading ahead. The trees above begin to sway. And a wind seems to pick up. And I think that's where we're going to end. And then that'll give Noella an opportunity to make her appearance whenever they choose to.
Nice.
All right.
Very nice.
We're going to look at the end of session. I think we hit some conditions, or some entanglements. I didn't have us do a flag on them. That's my bad. So I think I'm just going to go again to ask, do you feel like one of those entanglements really kind of got knocked on and played with? Patrick, how do you feel?
Yeah, between Songbird at the beginning and the whole loss and search for Windy, I think that definitely hit my entanglements.
Okay, take a point for that. Jason, any of your entanglements come up?
Yeah, actually all of them, but but specifically, I feel like even though it didn't come up in dialogue, I highlighted it out of dialogue that the Windy was kind of the motivating force for Cog here.
Excellent. So you can take a point for that. Chris, how about you? Your entanglements come into play?
I think so. That mess he's into with Zetcher definitely came into play. And the he does know about the Songbird Rex thing. I think Jason had pointed that one out in the chat window as well. Like, so I think he pulled one in.
Excellent. Take a point for that. Did we express our seeming or kith? Patrick, your seeming or kith this time?
I imitated an evil snow devil, so yeah.
Okay. Jason, your seeming or kith?
I mean, I'm a giant clockwork ogre, so I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah, I think you hit pretty good. Chris, feel like you hit your seeming or kith?
I think so. Pete did some territorial stuff, and he, was, clawed some things. He liked it. I think he hit it.
All right. So season. Patrick, did you play with Winter?
I think with that thing of like seeing how it was affecting Cog and getting tripped up in the whole like this is all my fault, I left her behind sort of thing.
Excellent. Jason, how about your season, Winter?
I was trying to push it hard. I'm hoping that's true.
You definitely were screaming the winner. And Chris, Summer?
Yeah, I think he did a lot of court stuff, more formally so than I think Patrick or Jason did, but he got it. He got it in there.
I think so too. Our humanity. Did we show the human part of ourselves much? Patrick?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think just being like
cold.
Sad or cold is exactly it. Because this was very like out of the hedge and immediately back into changeling problems and not really pursuing human ends.
Jason, how about you?
I was going to say, but at the same time, Patrick, you ran away and left a friend, and then you stood in the cold waiting for a ride, and and at the end, rather than dealing with the giant monsters, you were like, "Oh, I'll be sneaky and over here because that actually is kind of scary." I mean, you could claim that as your seeming too, but those also feel kind of human to me. But that's up to you.
Duo is consistently the most human acting of us. He reacts like a human to all this crazy crap. Like, I'm going to get the hell away from that.
All right, I can see that for sure. Jason,
yeah, I really only hit Cog's humanity at the end with that last move, and I feel like I made the move, so I don't feel like that really justifies.
I can kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Chris, how about you? Did you feel particularly human-y in this one?
Well, Pete certainly taken on a lot of charity cases. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that's a human quality, charity. That's still out there, right?
Okay. I suppose I could see that. But, all right.
But that's, because beast-wise, he's letting way too many people into his territory. Like, but human-wise, he's helping out a bunch of people that need it.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. And now concede a conflict. Not sure exactly how that fits in with this one. We sort of conflicted a conflict. The closest I would come is maybe Patrick avoiding getting directly into a fight and sending an opponent away.
Well, he did let them get away. Like, he could have clubbed him with that rock. He had the rock. It was right there.
True, but I did go over there and literally roll the conflict move.
We kind of conceded with Songbird Rex. Theoretically, we could have pushed it socially more, but Cog was specifically trying to avoid escalating.
Okay, and you mentioned that, so I think I'm going to give you that one. I think that, yeah, because you specifically, there was a point where it could have gotten worse, but it really hit into a thing where you're like, this isn't my spot, this isn't my time. So yeah, I'll give you that one. So you can take that one. So if we hit any 5s, then we can go up again. Again, I don't mind us churning through. When eventually I sit with Lowell and talk about things, we're going to have to talk a little bit about XP. He has a lot of XP questions, which end up meaning a lot of potential XP.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he has an ass load of moves, so it's not like you're going to run out.
Well, to talk it through, so as an educator, one of the problems that he has with the questions is that they're binaries. Did you or didn't you? To me, the question is really, how did you? And the humanity and the season, to me, that's one question. Like, how did you do this or that? Double dipping on it is great for advancing, but to me it's more interesting how someone answers that question and gets the XP for it. But that's just me.
Well, and why don't we do, since we have just a few minutes, we'll do a little roses and thorns. And Jason, sounds like that seems like a reasonable thorn. Is there perhaps any other thorns you might have had for me or the game so far, system, how we're doing, that sort of thing? Don't thorn your fellow players.
I wish, I haven't used a whole lot of the team pool, the trust pool rather. But getting the advantage, like having that be the only thing we can spend trust on, is a bit of a problem because there's a lot of things we can do to gain advantage independently of trust. So if the trust pool is going to matter, it needs to have more facility.
I think that makes sense. By the way, if you hear growling, it's not my tummy, it's the dog. Patrick, any thorns you might have?
Not really. My entanglements are a mess, but that's just a fact of having been in the game this long. I go back and forth on the study move. Some nights I'm like, oh good, I'm glad it's so open, and some nights I'm like, I wish it just had a fucking sample question or two.
I can see that. I hear you. Any other thorns? No? All right. Chris, any thorns?
Looking at the way the conflict move plays out with social and physical, it feels like to me that could be easily split to get a lot more like juicy results out of it, because that long list of things to choose from, some of them just don't happen. Like the edge to most of the conflict moves I've seen in the other PbtA systems, it seems to be like, there's a list of 4 things or 3 things or whatever, and the ones that you don't choose as the things that you get still happen to you. And that giant list of stuff for the conflict move, because it's covering social and physical, I think it just doesn't have quite the same edge as a move if you split it up and said, here's 3 things to choose from. If you roll a 10 plus, you pick 2 of them. If you roll 7 to 9, you pick 1, and the other things are going to happen. The other things are going to happen as a cost. I think if you kind of split it up and limited it to give it that sort of edge, I think it could have a little bit more bite for the partial success.
I see what you're saying. I hear you there. Excellent. Any other thorns? I'll hit mine. I'm hearing everything y'all are saying, and I'm kind of agreeing with you as well. There are some things in that conflict that do seem to get a little muddled because of how all-encompassing it is. And I agree with Trustful. It would be neat to see it do some more versatile things. And entanglements do become a kind of a problem when we've played for a while, especially since I'm not entirely sure how you resolve them out well. Obviously you can clear debts, but there's really nothing in there that talks about shifting over those entanglements to something else, having them evolve. I think that that can be done narratively, but right now there's nothing really that gives us a concept of what that does. So that is a little bit of a thorn there. Let's do roses then. Jason, I started with you on thorns, so what you got for roses?
Sure. I really like the rich assortment of locations and the way you breathe life into them, from the mortal to the not so mortal to the straight up kind of crazy. Because there are a lot of different locations, but the movement through them didn't feel unbelievable for the game, and they were all very, very rich. And like Semolina Pritchard, I had no real concept of who she was before we're having the interaction. She's on my character sheet, but then she's a very, like, she comes to life. She's got this bar. There's the reflection of the people dancing. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Patrick, roses you might have?
I still love this game. It's like the system is so close to being where I think it needs to be. So I'm enjoying playing. I mean, giant cog metal death scything machine of doom and swinginess was amazing. Just Cog in general was great, but to go from calm, restrained, everything is very slowly thought out Cog to like, hold on a minute, and then he climbs out and turns into a spinning monstrosity was amazing.
I agree. Thank you. That was awesome. Chris, any roses to hand out?
As always, I mean, the game is spectacularly fun, and I love all the NPCs we get to interact with. And I think I mentioned this right after the break, and I don't know if Jason, you were back to hear it, but basically, Cog is like just almost like a prototype of a winter ogre. I mean, like everything is sad, even the stuff that he does happily is sad. He is sadly happy. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but it works for him so well.
Thanks.
I mean, and you know, Ditto. It's always so much fun to listen to Ditto. That's always just at least that's a huge chunk of the fun for any Changeling game that I've been in so far with Patrick, is to hear Ditto talk. And
excellent.
Just all of it's been great.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And for my roses, first off, I love what y'all do. I love it every time. Cog just kills me. I find so much enjoyment out of Cog. It's such a well done character. You're so tied in with what the character's like, and I've become so familiar and feel like I know Pete and Ditto. I love to see the interactions that go on from those characters. It's just really, it's delightful what y'all have managed to create over this longer period of time. You know, we've had people come in and come out. So seeing Ditto and Pete, the kind of closeness between the two of them and the real consistency that always comes from those characters, how you play them, it's just wonderful. I want to rose a little bit of the system myself because I slagged it earlier. It does somehow still, it makes Changeling work. I mean, it conveys all the things about Changeling I want. It really, and there's not like there's no flavor text. It's not like he's written us a whole bunch of things to flavor it with, but those moves and how everything sort of fits together really does feel like Changeling to me. It brings in that trauma and that, the sort of unabashed badness of what's happened to them. That seems to work. And so there is something I think really awesome about this game. So those are my roses. And I missed a thorn. Noella, we missed having you here with us. That's a thorn. So we'll be back in a week. I hope y'all had a nice time. I'm going to stop the broadcast here. Folks, if you go back and watch some of the other things I've done, we will have more coming up in the future. And, you know, if you've watched a few, watch more.